Welcome to Taboo Talks, the Body Electric conversation series where we talk all things taboo. Whether it's the intersection between religion and spirituality and sexuality, intergenerational relationships, fetishes, or kink, this is your pit stop for Taboo Talk. Today's taboo topic is around stress and sexuality and the ways in which our sexual practices can help us during times of stress, during times of uncertainty, during times of difficulty. It's obvious that the world is amuck right now, and I think that's something that the majority of us are navigating. And with that comes, a lot of stress. And one of the things that we experience in the workshops, in the work that we do, one of the things that we discover, one of the many things we discover in the work we do, the workshops we do, and what we're up to at the school, is that all of these practices, all of these courses, teachings, they allow us to not only experience greater pleasure, but they create a sort of regulatory experience in our nervous systems, which ripples out into our lives and allows us to move and engage with life from a more responsive and less reactive place, allows us to meet each moment with a greater sense of calm and ease, and again, responsiveness. And so we thought it fitting to have a conversation about how to leverage pleasure and sexuality to guide us, to support us through stressful times. So, Tom, I really appreciate that you brought this topic up. And I'm curious about like what prompted it for you and what you've seen work in your own life.
Well, you can't talk to anybody today without hearing about the stress that they're feeling, because no matter where you land, all this change is really dysregulating, and it's causing a lot of people stress, the stock market, the economy, and so all those things cause uncertainty in people's lives. And although we might enjoy that a little bit, to have some uncertainty, we also like to have our little nest and have things to be calm. And I think about me personally as how most of my life, my reaction to stressful situations is just to work harder. And I keep working, which, there's certain advantages to that. But the disadvantage is that there's no self-care involved. When you're stressed, you need self-care more than ever. It's not the time to give up on your self-care. And however you define that, whether that's reading a book or meditating or exercising, whatever. But part of self-care, part of Body Electric is based on the Taoist belief that erotic energy is healing, literally, not just your spirit, but your body as well. And so stress can also cause people to dampen down on, how they're feeling erotically. Maybe they don't feel it as much when they're stressed out. This is precisely the time to double down on your erotic practices. And if you think that's crazy, just a lot of people have had the situation to where they had a lot on their mind. It's the middle of the night. They can't sleep and they got to get up and do some important things the next day. And guess what they might do? They might masturbate so that they can have a wonderful orgasm, and that release and that raising of the sexual energy is enough to help them get to sleep. I don't know about you, but I've certainly done that a few times. It's a lot more pleasant than Ambien. I think that what I do, I worry about folks not giving into pleasure, not practicing self-pleasuring or pleasure with others at a time when they need it the most. So that's why it's been on my mind, and I wrote a little article about it in our newsletter.
Yeah, something that comes up for me as you're speaking is I think during times like this, it can be really common to reach for less, I'm going to say less nourishing distractions or alleviations, right? More momentary alleviations. And, for example, and I'm not yucking anyone's yum in any way, shape, or form here, but let's look at going out and having several drinks, right, to take the edge off, and then perhaps waking up the next day and feeling, blasé, right, or crappy, unclear, foggy, etc. Whereas you spend some time with your body, engaging in pleasure, engaging in self care practice, and that not only does it nourish, but it lends itself to your energy the following day and the days that follow, right? So there are, how do I say this? It's like, it's an investment, really, is what it is, right? As opposed to a detriment, if you will. So that came up for me. I was just thinking, huh, yeah, we could reach for this or this or this, or, we could come into our bodies and find ways to nourish in those moments and nurture. And yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm going to say there's something sacred about touch as well, and treating it with pleasure. And as someone that doesn't necessarily touch to have an orgasm, it's really nice to just share that with somebody too. You don't have to go into anything other than comfort or comforting. And one of the things about body electric and the erotic practices that was really new to me was um, where's your pleasure? And does pleasure mean coming to an orgasm? Does pleasure just mean being touched in a way that feels good? So, it can be different for different people.
Yeah, I when I think about our workshops and my experiences in them as well. Tom, you said it, like during this particular time of global unrest, the contrast between the energy and what is going on in those rooms and what is going on out in the world is so clear. The way in which all of our sort of hang-ups, all of our stuff, the stress, the politics, everything we're sort of going to war over falls away when you're in those rooms and gives way to, gosh, the miraculous is what I want to say. As you said, like I cannot think of a better time for that. And in my experience, yeah, that's what these practices give way to. And I'll give a personal example. I shared this in one of our previous Taboo Talks, but I've been indulging in play with toys, right? And again, what I've noticed is it's also elevated and altered my mood. It's changed my confidence, it changed the way I move through the world, and even just reflecting on those moments of pleasure bring a levity to my body, to my energy as I'm moving through the day, which again impacts everything that I'm engaging with, right? So it's just ripples.
Yeah, and another thing that goes on, I think, at a time like this for some of us, there's a little bit of a withdrawal when there's all this unrest, and that's precisely when you need community. We need to be in space with people, preferably in person, but also online. And so seeking out opportunities to do that. The school has a weekly meditation on Wednesdays. It has book clubs. There's just a lot of different ways that you can be in space with other people, do things that are regulating to you. And in addition to the practices that Arenda mentioned, our full moons, there's a whole bunch of different easy, inexpensive things to do. And Reno, you just recently had a chat with Joseph Kramer about his workshop about sustained sexual arousal. And that sounds like a great thing to dive into at a time like this too.
Yeah, and you know what? On that note, Joseph and I did something, and I'm gonna give it a go here for a sec. So if you're watching and you're listening right now, I'm just gonna stand up, and it, like just the act of he asked me to stand up, and what you notice when you stand, right, is that your entire body begins to be more fully engaged. And there's an awareness of your body as you're standing. And one of the things he spoke to was something that people don't commonly do, which is standing whilst you're self-pleasuring. And I found it so fascinating to consider because, again, it brings this full body awareness. And what you also notice is the act of standing, like there's a grounding that happens from your feet upward through your body, right? So if you're watching and you're listening right now, like give it a try. And if you're sitting, that's okay. You don't need to stand. You can be grounded in your seat as well, but take a moment to just notice what is supporting you, whether you're seated and your butt is being supported, or you're standing now and you're supported by the ground, and start to bring awareness into your body, right? And maybe bring some gentle touch to the front of you and your shoulders, maybe to the back of you if you can, or just to your arms and your own hands, but start to bring some gentle touch to your body and breathe while you do it. Like, it can be as simple as that, and that being a pleasurable, regulatory, sensual self-care practice, right? And it can go as far as engaging with somebody else or using toys, right? There are options. And I think it's important to maybe share that if for whatever reason the idea of sexuality and self-care doesn't like sit with you immediately and you need to warm up to it, consider the word sensuality, for example. Consider, coming into your senses and engaging them, right? Smelling a candle or, touching yourself or what have you as a means to tap into that more relaxed, calm state. Yeah. Any final words from you all?
I kind of when you were standing up and doing your self touch, just thinking, like there's this perception that women don't do very much in the way of self pleasure. Like yeah, we don't do that, but we do. We do it all the time. When we get our hair cut, when we go in and get a facial, we get massages. This is all self pleasuring,
Yeah.
or having someone else pleasure us. It may not be sexual, and it could be, and it doesn't matter. It's about being in your body
And it can be something really simple and sensual, just say it to mature arrows. And one of the exercises we did was a hand massage. So we took one hand of somebody and we were massaging it very intentionally, very slowly for 5 minutes. And it was amazing how much energy people got out of something as simple as that. But it is because of the intention and the attention that you bring to something. So anything that brings you back into your body and gets you out of your head is going to help you when you're stressed out.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Tom. I love that. Anything that brings you out of your head and into your body. Yeah, powerful. And for those of you listening, head on over to our website, www.bodyelectric.org, to check out some of our upcoming workshops if you're looking for support and guidance from experts and people who have been doing this work and living this work for years. We have some of the best out there. And so head over to the website, check out the upcoming workshops. We've got online stuff, offline stuff. We've got stuff for, all genders, men, women, etc. Like there's something for everybody. There's something for everybody. So check us out. And until next time, thank you for joining us in another taboo conversation.
Take care.